Jacob chapter 5 is one of the most unique chapters in all of Scripture, let alone the Book of Mormon. It is an allegory that shows how God works with his people over time. Now, you're either going to love this chapter like I do, or you're going to say, what the heck? What does this mean and why is this here? Well, I have to tell you, when I was younger and I read this chapter, it kind of went over my head. But the older I've gotten, the more I have absolutely fallen in love with this chapter, and I think you'll come to see why. So again, it's an allegory about a gardener working on his olive trees in his grove of olive trees, or whatever it's called, grove, I don't know. But anyway, on his olive trees, and how he struggles to get them to thrive and to produce good fruit. And of course, that's symbolic for us. Producing good fruit would be the fruits of righteousness, and thriving would be thriving within like a Christian life, worshiping God and having that relationship with him. So you keep that in mind as you listen to this allegory. And the owner of the vineyard you would think of as God, and his servant you would think of as his prophet. So we are the trees in this vineyard. Again, is it a vineyard? I don't know, because it's not grapes. It's a grove. I don't know what it's called. A bunch of olive trees that the owner of all of these trees is God. His servant is like the prophet, and we are like the trees. And the olives, or the fruit, is our good works, our good lives, faith in Christ and righteousness. So, okay, you're going to love this because you're going to see God just struggling to work with us and pleading with us to become all we can, doing everything he can in his power, and working with his prophet to lead us along. So here is the summary. Jacob quotes Zenos relative to the allegory of the tame and wild olive trees. They are a likeness of Israel and the Gentiles. The scattering and gathering of Israel are prefigured. Allusions are made to the Nephites and Lamanites and all the houses of Israel. The Gentiles will be grafted into Israel. Eventually, the vineyard will be burned. All right, so that's an overview. And of course, the vineyard being burned would be like the second coming, right? So when it says that Jacob is quoting Zenos, that is another prophet. We don't have access to that record. So just like how in the Bible, there are times where a prophet quotes out of another book, or like from another prophet, that we don't have access to that. It's the same kind of thing. We don't have a book of Zenos anywhere, but Jacob nonetheless is quoting Zenos. So, okay. Verse 1, behold, my brethren, do you not remember to have read the words of the prophet Zenos, which he spake unto the house of Israel, saying, okay, so now he's reading whoever the Zenos was, this is what he said. Hearken, O ye people of Israel, and hear the words of me, a prophet of the Lord. For behold, thus saith the Lord, I will liken thee, O house of Israel, like unto a tame olive tree, which a man took and nourished in the vineyard. Okay, it is a vineyard. It's not grapes, but apparently olives grow in a vineyard. And it grew and waxed old and began to decay. And it came to pass that the master of the vineyard went forth, and he saw that his olive tree began to decay. And he said, I will prune it and dig about it and nourish it, that perhaps it may shoot forth young and tender branches, and it perish not. And it came to pass that he pruned it and digged about it and nourished it according to his word. So this is like a group of people, that it was thriving in belief and in good works, and it eventually began to decay. And that, groups of people can do that, whether it's in your own life or your family or a community. We all can kind of start going downhill. So this particular group of people were towing the line, and they started to go downhill. So, okay. Verse 6, it came to pass that after many days it began to put forth somewhat a little young and tender branches, but behold, the main top thereof began to perish. So again, if you're looking at groups of people, they're working, but this owner of the vineyard and his prophet, the servant, they're laboring to help this group of people, and there starts to be some good fruit. So that would be belief and good works, those kinds of things. But there was still section, the main top began to perish. And I think the main top, it can kind of signify maybe the older people. Maybe they're working with a group of people, and the young tender shoots are like young people that are starting to believe, but now the older generation is starting to not believe. That's just my thoughts on it. It came to pass that the master of the vineyard saw it, and he said unto his servant, It grieveth me that I should lose this tree. Wherefore, go and pluck the branches from a wild olive tree, and bring them hither unto me, and we will pluck off these main branches, which are beginning to wither away, and we will cast them into fire, that they may be burnt. And behold, saith the Lord of the vineyard, I take away many of these young and tender branches, and I will graft them whithersoever I will. And it mattereth not that if it but so be that the roots of the tree will perish, I may preserve the fruit thereof unto myself. Wherefore I will take these young and tender branches, and I will graft them whithersoever I will. So again, there's many different ways that you can interpret this. It's like a beautiful, huge, extended parable where you could sit and discuss for a long period of time different ways to interpret these verses. But the way this stands out to me is that when God is taking these young and tender branches and grafting them in whithersoever he will, that would be like inspiring people to migrate or immigrate, go somewhere else. He's grafting them. He's taking them from this area and grafting them in over there. And then it doesn't really matter so much if that other community kind of dies off or ceases to believe because they were already doing more of the same, but at least God is taking these young tender branches, which are maybe younger believers, over to another place where they can grow better and have more support or encounter, beliefs or traditions that are going to be helpful in stimulating their own spiritual growth, something like that. Okay, verse 9, Take thou the branches of the wild olive tree, and graft them in the stead thereof, and these will I pluck off, that I will cast into the fire and burn them, that they may not cumber the ground of my vineyard. And it came to pass that the servant of the Lord of the vineyard did according to the word of the Lord in the vineyard, and grafted in the branches of the wild olive tree. And the Lord of the vineyard caused it should be digged about and pruned and nourished, saying unto his servant, It grieveth me that I should lose this tree. Wherefore, that perhaps I might preserve the roots thereof, that they perish not, that I might preserve unto them myself, I have done this thing. Wherefore, go thy way, watch the tree, and nourish it according to my words. So I love how it says that the Lord said, It grieveth me that I should lose this tree. So God feels about us so much tender love and care that he wants to nourish us. So maybe we've been in a place of rebellion, or maybe not. Maybe we've been in a lot of different places in our life, but he wants to continue to nourish us. And I really notice that God is nourishing people wherever they are. There's so many different belief systems that can help people feel hope or to find direction, and it's not all the same. There's many places that God is speaking to people. So wherever they are, whatever they're willing to do, he's willing to try to meet them there and give them nourishment. I definitely see that in these days. Okay, we'll go back to the reading, verse 13. And these will I place in the nethermost parts of my vineyard, whithersoever I will, it mattereth not unto thee, and I do it that I may preserve unto myself the natural branches of the tree, and also that I may lay up fruit thereof against the season unto myself. For it grieveth me that I should lose this tree and the fruit thereof. So again, this refrain that the Lord is grieved when we do not bear fruit, which is, belief and love and joy within communion with the Savior. It came to pass that the Lord of the vineyard went his way and hid the natural branches of the tame olive tree in the nethermost parts of the vineyard, some in one and some in another, according to his will and pleasure. So again, I take that as like lots of immigration, emigration, and migration. People just going all over the place, having new experiences in new environments. And it came to pass that a long time passed away, and the Lord of the vineyard said unto his servant, Come, let us go down into the vineyard, that we may labor in the vineyard. And again, the Lord and his servant, that's like the prophet. So real direct work with the people to try to bring them to God. And it came to pass that the Lord of the vineyard and also the servant went down into the vineyard to labor. And it came to pass the servant said unto his master, Behold here, behold the tree. And it came to pass the Lord of the vineyard looked and beheld the tree in which the wild olive branches had been grafted. And it had sprung forth and began to bear fruit. And he beheld that it was good, and the fruit thereof was like unto the natural fruit. And he said unto the servant, Behold, the branches of the wild tree have taken hold of the moisture of the root thereof, that the root thereof hath brought forth much strength. And because of the much strength of the root, therefore the wild branches have brought forth tame fruit. Now, if we had not grafted in these branches, the tree thereof would have perished. And now, behold, I shall lay up much fruit, where the tree thereof hath brought forth fruit, and the fruit thereof I shall lay up against the season unto my own self. And as I read that verse, I like to picture maybe a group of people who have moved to a new community, a new area. Because again, there's all kinds of emigration, and migration happening over the planet all over the course of history. So for some reason, they move from here to there and they encounter people and belief systems that they really are able to do better, make better choices, connect more with God, be better people. They begin bearing fruit. They're better off now than they were before. So that's just kind of what I picture. And it came to pass that the Lord of the vineyard said unto the servant, Come, let us go to the nethermost part of the vineyard. And behold, if the natural branches of the tree have not brought forth much fruit also, that I may lay up the fruit thereof against the season unto my own self. And it came to pass that they went forth, whither the master hath hid the natural branches of the tree. And he said unto the servant, Behold these. And he beheld the first, that it brought forth much fruit. And he beheld also that it was good. And he said unto the servant, Take of the fruit thereof, and lay it up against the season, that I may preserve it unto my own self. For behold, saith he, this long time have I nourished it, and it hath brought forth much fruit. And it came to pass, the servant said unto his master, How comest thou hither to plant this tree of this branch of the tree? For behold, it was the poorest spot in all the land of the vineyard. And the Lord of the vineyard said unto him, I love this. The Lord of the vineyard said, Counsel me not. I knew it was a poor spot of ground. Wherefore I said unto thee, I have nourished it this long time. And thou beholdest that it has brought forth much fruit. So isn't that fun? The Lord of the vineyard, had told the servant to plant a tree in a very nasty part of ground. And the servant was surprised by that. And the Lord said, Don't give me advice. I knew that it was a poor spot, and that's why I nourished it. And he does that in our lives too. Sometimes he can put us in a poor spot of ground. Maybe our life circumstances feel like they are not going to help us become our best for sure. But he will continue to nourish us, and we are not to counsel him and tell him how to help us grow. We are supposed to ask him how we can do his will in our circumstances, but not to counsel him and tell him that he made a mistake, because he doesn't make mistakes. Verse 23, And it came to pass that the Lord of the vineyard said unto his servant, Look hither, behold, I have planted another branch of this tree also. And thou knowest that this spot of ground was poorer than the first. But behold the tree, I have nourished it this long time, and it hath brought forth much fruit. Therefore gather it and lay it up against the season, that I may preserve it unto mine own self. And I love how the Lord points out, do you see that tree over there that's doing awesomely? That was planted in an even worse part of my vineyard than the one that you had a problem with me doing before. So a good reminder that life circumstances are going to vary widely, but just like that parable in the New Testament where seeds are scattered in all kinds of environments, we are the seeds being scattered in all kinds of environments. And some of them do better than others, but this adds on to it and says, but he can nourish us and help us in whatever environment we're in, that we can be fruitful as he seeks after us and we seek after him. And he said unto the servant, Look hither, and behold the last. Behold, this have I planted in a good spot of ground, and I have nourished it this long day, and only a part of the tree has brought forth tame fruit, and the other part of the tree hath brought forth wild fruit. Behold, I have nourished this tree like unto the others. And it came to pass, the Lord of the vineyard said unto the servant, Pluck off the branches that have not brought good fruit, and cast them into the fire. Okay, so he's talking about a tree that was planted in really great soil, in a wonderful spot of the garden, and only some of the fruit was good and some of it was bad. And compare that to another tree that was planted in all bad and it was all good fruit. Well, we can look at, I don't know, for instance, the United States of America, where I live. So many of us are laboring under pride and sin. We are planted in a wonderful vineyard here, and yet so many of us make choices to fall away from God, to ignore him, to put him as a last priority, or even to just say he's irrelevant or doesn't exist, or that he's evil, that he's, willfully neglecting us. So that would be, I would say, very bad fruit. And many of us are turning to God, and some of us turning back to God because we're seeing the writing on the wall. It's an evil time we're living in, and we are being called to make a choice whether we're going to rise up and choose God or not. So there's a variety of fruit being produced in our country. And then I think about some other areas that would be maybe hard places to grow, say Africa. Africa has so many economic, political, and social challenges that would make it difficult for people to have a healthy, productive life. And yet so many people are turning to God and being so humble in the country of Africa. So I just see a little bit of a connection there. Verse 27, but behold, the servant said unto him, let us prune it and dig about it and nourish it longer, that perhaps it may bring forth good fruit unto thee, that thou canst lay it up against the season. So the prophet is, or the servant, which is symbolizes the prophet, is counseling with the Lord, saying, can we just give it a little more time in this spot of good ground where this tree is struggling? Can we just give it some more nourishment? And it came to pass, the Lord of the vineyard and the servant of the Lord of the vineyard did nourish all the fruit of the vineyard. And it came to pass, a long time had passed away. And the Lord of the vineyard said unto his servant, come, let us go down into the vineyard, that we may labor again in the vineyard. For behold, the time draweth near, and the end soon cometh. Wherefore I must lay up fruit against the season unto mine own self. And it came to pass that the Lord of the vineyard and the servant went down into the vineyard, and they came to the tree whose natural branches had been broken off, and the wild branches had been grafted in. And behold, all sorts of fruit did cumber the tree. And of course, again, as I've said, you can use multiple lenses to interpret this, but I think about how the Jews have been just scattered and they are grafted in all over the place. And then other people have come into Jerusalem where they are. There's just a lot of things going on, good, bad, and in between in those Middle Eastern countries. So again, I don't know what it's referring to. It's probably like Isaiah, where you can look at it in a zoomed in lens, a medium lens, and a way zoomed out lens. And no matter how you look at it, you're going to find something there. Verse 31, it came to pass, the Lord of the vineyard did taste of the fruit, every sort according to its number. And the Lord of the vineyard said, behold, this long time have we nourished the tree, and I have laid up unto myself against the season much fruit. But behold, this time it hath brought forth much fruit, and there is none of which is good. Behold, there are all kinds of bad fruit, and it profiteth me nothing, notwithstanding all our labor. And now it grieveth me that I should lose this tree. And this is the point in this extended parable that I feel bad for the Lord of the vineyard. He's trying so hard and he's getting such bad results. But really, isn't that kind of like humanity? He's trying so hard, and let's admit the results are very, very questionable at times, especially at various times in history. If you're a student of history, you will agree. And the Lord of the vineyard said unto the servant, what shall we do unto the tree, that I may preserve again good fruit thereof unto mine own self? And the servant said unto his master, behold, because thou didst graft in the branches of the wild olive tree, they have nourished the roots, and they are alive, and they have not yet perished. Wherefore thou beholdest that they are yet good. And it came to pass, the Lord of the vineyard said unto his servant, the tree profiteth me nothing, and the roots thereof profit me nothing, so long as it shall bring forth evil fruit. Nevertheless, I know that the roots are good, and for my own purpose I have preserved them. And because of their much strength, they have hitherto brought forth from the wild branches good fruit. But behold, the wild branches have grown and have overrun the roots thereof. And because that the wild branches have overcome the roots, and because, overcome the roots thereof, it hath brought forth much evil fruit. And because it hath brought forth so much evil fruit, from thou beholdest that it beginneth to perish, and it will soon become ripened, that it may be cast into the fire, except we should do something to preserve it. And I wonder if the roots symbolize something like our belief systems or the traditions that we came from. They can be very good. We can come from good tradition of Christian heritage where we know to pray, to have faith, to be moral, to be temperate, to avoid addiction, to be connected to our families, to do our duties. We can have this as our roots, and those roots can be good. But we ourselves might not be bringing forth good fruit in our lives. We need to bring forth a good fruit and be a healthy branch that brings nourishment to those trees, to those roots, because the roots will eventually die off if the branches are not nourishing the roots. It came to pass that they went down into the nethermost parts of the vineyard, and it came to pass they beheld the fruit of the natural branches had become corrupt also, yea, the first and the second, and also the last, that they had also become corrupt. And the wild fruit of the last had overcome that part of the tree, which brought forth good fruit, even that the branch had withered away and died. And I like to think about how, there's a fine line between being a good influence on friends that are struggling, that are in kind of not a good place, and then letting them swallow you up and influence you for, negative behaviors and beliefs. So it's good to spend time with people that are struggling to see if you can lift them. But if they, for lack of better words, corrupt you, bring you down, get you to do things, say things, believe things that are like beneath you, and then now you're coming down to their level, then that would be like putting a branch into a good branch into a bad tree, and then the good branch being swallowed up by the bad tree, right? So we want to continue to bring forth good fruit, even if our environment struggles. We want to lift the environment rather than letting the environment destroy us. Oh, and this next verse is just very emotional. It came to pass the Lord of the vineyard wept and said unto the servant, what could I have done more for my vineyard? And I just love this verse because I'm sure God doesn't get a lot of empathy from us. He's big, powerful, strong, and all-knowing, but he does have a heart. And he does what he does because he loves us. And it hurts his heart when he puts forth effort after effort after effort. Everything he does is to help us and to have us turn away and bring forth bad fruit in our lives. That must be very hard for him and like sad. He's not impervious. We're his children. He loves us. And it hurts his heart when we don't care about him or try to live good lives. Behold, I knew, this is the Lord continuing, behold, I knew that all the fruit of the vineyard, save it were these, had become corrupted. And now these which had once brought forth good fruit have also become corrupted. And now all the trees of my vineyard are good for nothing, save it is to be hewn down and cast into the fire. And behold, this last, whose branch hath withered away, I did plant in a good spot of ground, yea, even that which was choice unto me above all other parts of the land of my vineyard. And thou beheldest that I also cut down that which cumbered the spot of ground, that I might plant this tree in the stead thereof. And thou beheldest that a part thereof brought forth good fruit, and a part thereof brought forth wild fruit. And because I plucked not the branches thereof, and cast them into the fire, behold, they have overcome the good branch, that it hath withered away. Now, personally, I get two things from this passage. One is just how invested Jesus Christ is in saving us. He is working so hard to help us. But also just, I can't help but see America here, that we are a good spot of ground and that he has helped us come create what we have here, but that we are turning away from him and that it breaks his heart. This is a good spot of ground. He's giving us the best and we're not living up to it. And now behold, notwithstanding all the care which we have taken of my vineyard, the trees thereof have become corrupted, that they bring forth no good fruit. And these I had hoped to preserve, and had laid up fruit thereof against the season unto mine own self. But behold, they have become like unto the wild olive tree, and they are of no worth, but to be hewn down and cast into the fire, and it grieveth me that I should lose them. And again, I don't know specifically that he's talking about America in nowadays, but that is just something that is on my mind, that we were founded in God. We were founded under, the whole idea of freedom to worship, not freedom from worship, but freedom to worship, that all of us can come and worship God without needing to be forced to worship the way the Church of England, wanted us to worship. And unfortunately, so many people are just throwing God out. I can't imagine how he feels about that. I'm sure it's not good. But what could I have done more in my vineyard? Have I slackened my hand that I nourished it not? Nay, I have nourished it, and I have digged about it, I have pruned it, I have dunged it, I have stretched forth my hand almost all day long, and the end drieth nigh. And it grieveth me that I should hew down all the trees of my vineyard and cast them into the fire, that they may be burned. Who is it that hath corrupted my vineyard? Oh, wow, what a lament. Who is doing this? Why is my vineyard corrupted? And I just love this description of what he's saying. I have done everything I can all the day long. What is going on here? It came to pass that the servant said unto his master, Is it not the loftiness of thy vineyard? Have not the branches thereof overcome the roots which are good? And because the branches have overcome the roots thereof, behold, they grew faster than the strength of the roots, taking strength unto themselves. Behold, I say, is not this the cause that the trees of thy vineyard have become corrupted? Isn't this a wonderful thought, that it's the loftiness that perhaps is corrupting the vineyard? And I think of the loftiness maybe as growing beyond your bounds. As my mom used to say it, running faster than you have headlights. So you turn the headlights on your car, and if you're going, faster than the speed of light, I guess, your headlights wouldn't do you much good. You need to go at a pace that you can handle so that you can make rational, wise choices. That the loftiness of the vineyard might be the pride of the people, or it might be that they are just running so fast, so hard, they're not thinking through their choices. It could be, again, it could be a discussion here, just thinking about what that could be. But that trimming it down might be just the solution to reduce the amount of loftiness in these branches so that there can be balance to the root system. And that could come in the form of humbling, like, I don't know, war or famine or whatever. That if we're going so fast and we have so much abundance and maybe we're proud or just completely ignoring God because we're running so fast, that maybe we do need humbled. I think that's a thought. It came to pass that the Lord of the vineyard said unto the servant, Let us go to hew down the trees of the vineyard and cast them into the fire, that they shall not cumber the ground of my vineyard. For I have done all. What could I have done more for my vineyard? So the Lord of the vineyards had it. He said, let's be done with it. I'm over it. But behold, the servant said unto the Lord of the vineyard, Spare it a little longer. And the Lord said, Yea, I will spare it a little longer, for it grieveth me that I should lose the trees of my vineyard. Wherefore let us take the branches of these parts, which I planted in the nethermost parts of the vineyard, and let us graft them into the tree from whence they came, and let us pluck from the tree those branches whose fruit is most bitter, and graft in the natural branches of the tree in the stead thereof. And this will I do, that the tree may not perish, that perhaps I may preserve unto myself the roots thereof for mine own purpose. And behold, the roots of the natural branches of the tree which I planted whithersoever I would are yet alive. Wherefore, that I may preserve them also for my own purpose, I will take of the branches of this tree, and I will graft them unto them. Yea, I will graft in unto them the branches of their mother tree, that I may preserve the roots also unto mine own self, that when they shall be sufficiently strong, perhaps they may bring forth good fruit unto me, and I may yet have glory in the fruit of my vineyard. Okay, so I'm not really capable brain-wise of getting into every single grafting and trying to figure out symbolically what that means. I couldn't quite, my brain would short circuit. But what I can say, what I'm seeing is that people, again, God is moving groups of people around. And I don't think it's just like major migrations. I think it's on an individual level. Like I have a friend who, her and her husband, he lost his job a few months ago, and they finally got a job offer. They had several job offers, but the one that they kept feeling compelled to take, even though they didn't love it, is going to cause them to move clear to the other side of the country. And they keep saying, why, God? Why? We know this is right. We feel that it's right. We can see that it's right, but it doesn't make a lot of sense because we've got to leave the neighborhood that we love and our friends and so many things that we're used to, that we love, our home. And now we have to go to this strange place, way different weather, people, so much uncertainty. And is the job even going to work out? I think there's a lot of this kind of grafting that God does. I have one of my children that was decided to move way across the country because of conditions economically in the state I live in. There's a lot of struggle, and he wanted something that would be that he could actually make a good living in the industry he wants to work in. And so he's been transplanted, grafted elsewhere. And I think he's thriving far better than he would here. And I know the city I'm living in now, I feel like I was transplanted because job opportunities and things sent me this way. And I have thrived in this community. And I think that God does that. He moves us around so that we can learn. And I really do believe he's in the details of our lives, of where we live and where we work, where we can, learn something from that. Okay, verse 55, it came to pass that they took from the natural tree, which had become wild, and grafted in unto the natural tree, which also had become wild. And they also took the natural trees, which had become wild, and grafted into their mother tree. So I guess he's taking original branches that he'd grafted here and here and here and putting them back into the mother tree. So maybe that means that some people who've, migrated here are going to come back to their home country or their hometown. Or maybe it means 1,000 other things, coming back to your original beliefs, when you'd left them. I've seen people go on journeys of faith where they leave one particular religion, they try different belief systems, and all of this ministers to their growth, and then they come back to the faith they started with after kind of needing that pilgrimage. So again, like scriptures can be seen in a lot of different ways. Verse 57, and the Lord of the vineyard said unto the servant, pluck not the wild branches from the trees, save it be those which are the most bitter, and in them ye shall graft according to that which I have said. And you will nourish again the trees of the vineyard, and we will trim up the branches thereof, and we will pluck from the tree those branches which are ripened that must perish, and cast them into the fire. And this I do, that perhaps the roots thereof may take strength because of their goodness, and because of the change of the branches, that the good may overcome the evil. I think that's ultimately what he's trying to do in moving us around, giving us these different experiences in life, that ultimately good may overcome the evil. We may temporarily be fooled or in a bad place, but can we eventually learn the lessons we need to learn and get back on the path? And because that I have preserved the natural branches and the roots thereof, and that I have grafted in the natural branches again into their mother tree, and have preserved the roots of their mother tree, that perhaps the trees of my vineyard may bring forth again good fruit, and that I may have joy again in the fruit of my vineyard, and perhaps that I may rejoice exceedingly that I have preserved the fruits and the branches of the first fruit. I love this, how he says that the whole reason he's doing all of this is that he can rejoice exceedingly, so he can have joy. It brings Jesus Christ great joy when we repent, when we come unto him, and when we change our lives through his grace. That is the whole reason why he's doing all of this. And it sure looks like he's having to go through a lot with all of us to get just some of us to do that, but that is what brings him great joy. Wherefore, go to and call servants, that we may labor diligently with our might in the vineyard, that we may prepare the way, that I may bring forth again the natural fruit, which natural fruit is good, and the most precious above all other fruit. Wherefore, let us go and labor with our might this last time, and behold, the end draweth nigh. And this is for the last time that I shall prune my vineyard. All right, I think these two verses are speaking very specifically of our day, that this is the last time that God will prune his vineyard. This is the last time before the harvest. And the ultimate harvest is Judgment Day, and the burning of the vineyard is that second coming. So he, in verse 61, he says, go to, call servants, that we may labor diligently and prepare the way. So right now in our day, there are many people being called to speak out about the gospel of Jesus Christ. So whether that be in the form of the restored Church of Jesus Christ that I belong to, we are sending missionaries out everywhere. We are definitely encouraged to share our testimonies, right? So we are being called. And then there are many other believers in Christ who are being called to just speak out and be brave about the fact that they believe, and to share that light with other people, that God is calling us to speak out. Because it's not time to be neutral right now. It's go time. This is the final pruning of the vineyard, the final nourishing of the vineyard before that last and great harvest. Verse 63, graft in the branches, begin at the last, that they may be first, and that the first may be last, and dig about the trees. That should sound familiar from the Bible, right? The first may be last, and the last may be first. Both old and young, the first and the last and the first, that all may be nourished once again for the last time. And that could be the last is first and first is last. Again, multiple ways you can look at that. But I think about how, Jesus Christ came to Jerusalem, and then he came to the Americas second. But this go round, he's coming to the Americas and he'll go to Jerusalem second. We could get into that, but I'll just keep reading because this is a very long chapter. Verse 64, wherefore dig about them and prune them and dug them once more for the last time, for the end draweth nigh. And if it so be that these last grafts shall grow and bring forth the natural fruit, then shall ye prepare the way for them that they may grow. And as they begin to grow, ye shall clear away the branches which bring forth bitter fruit, according to the strength of the good and the size thereof. And ye shall not clear away the bad thereof all at once, lest the roots thereof should be too strong for the graft, and the graft thereof shall perish, and I lose the trees of my vineyard. So when he's talking about clearing away the bad all at once, I don't really know exactly what that means, but some kind of culling, some kind of correction, some kind of cleansing where it needs to happen gradually so it's not too abrupt. And I think that connects to the wheat and the tares parable from the New Testament that Jesus in the parable says, let the wheat and the tares grow together, and then at the harvest they'll be bound in bundles, separated. The tares will be burned. The wheat will be harvested. So yeah, God, I don't see God as trying to be like aggressively weeding his garden. He's saying do it gently or wait. He's very patient. For it grieveth me, verse 66, for it grieveth me that I should lose the trees of my vineyard. Wherefore ye shall clear away the bad according as the good shall grow, that the root and the top may be equal in strength. So I think he's really advocating just for gentle, aware work without anyone being extreme or abrupt. Until the good shall overcome the bad may be hewn down and cast into the fire, and they cumber not the ground of my vineyard. And thus will I sweep away the bad out of my vineyard. And the branches of the natural tree will I graft in again into the natural tree. And the branch of the natural tree will I graft into the natural branches of the tree. And thus will I bring them together again, that they shall bring forth the natural fruit, and they shall be one. I wonder if this is going to be Jerusalem, because, the Jews have scattered, and they are going to come back and rebuild their city. And there's, of course, been some comeback, but there's a lot of trouble with that, that hopefully there will be a day of peace where they can come back and actually fully build the city and bring forth good fruit and come to the knowledge of Christ. Okay, verse 69, the bad shall be cast away even out of the land of my vineyard. For behold, only this once will I prune my vineyard. And it came to pass that the Lord of the vineyard sent his servant, and the servant went and did as the Lord had commanded, and brought other servants, and they were few. And the Lord of the vineyard said unto them, go and labor in the vineyard with your might. For behold, this is the last time that I shall nourish my vineyard, for the end is nigh at hand, and the season speedily cometh. And if ye labor with your might with me, ye shall have joy in the fruit which I shall lay up unto myself against the time which soon shall come. So this, of course, I really believe is talking about the last days, because it's talking about preparing for the end, that ultimately there are few servants. And I think we can see this, how many people really are speaking out with a loud voice about their belief in Jesus Christ. Well, there's coming to be more, but as far as really fully engaged servants, I would say Definitely the 12 apostles, in my belief system, definitely the prophet, all of our missionaries, and then there are people of other faiths that are doing wonderful work, but percentage-wise, it's really small. Really small. Okay, it came to pass that the servants did go and labor with their mites, and the Lord of the vineyard labored with them also, and they did obey the commandments of the Lord of the vineyard in all things. Isn't that wonderful? The servants are laboring, but the Lord is laboring right along with them. And I think we can take a lot of heart, those of us who are really trying to be on the Lord's side and help him in his vineyard, that the Lord is laboring right next to us. And there began to be the natural fruit again in the vineyard, and the natural branches began to grow and thrive exceedingly. And the wild branches began to be plucked off and to be cast away, that they did keep the root and the top thereof equal, according to the strength thereof. And thus they labored with all diligence, according to the commandments of the Lord of the vineyard, even until the bad had been cast away out of the vineyard, and the Lord had preserved unto him that the trees had become again the natural fruit, and they became like unto one body, and the fruits were equal. And the Lord of the vineyard had preserved unto himself the natural fruit, which was precious unto him from the beginning. I personally don't think this has happened yet. Do you see that the Lord's having a wonderful harvest, and everything is hunky-dory on this fruit tree? I don't think so. I don't think this has happened. I think this is what we can look forward to. Verse 75, it came to pass that when the Lord of the vineyard saw that the fruit was good, and that his vineyard was no more corrupt, he called his servants and said, Behold, this last time we have nourished my vineyard, and thou beholdest that I have done according to my will, and I have preserved the natural fruit, that it is good, even like as it was in the beginning. And blessed art thou, for because ye have been diligent in laboring with me in my vineyard, and have kept my commandments, and have brought unto me again the natural fruit, that my vineyard is no more corrupted, and the bad is cast away. Behold, ye shall have joy with me because of the fruit of my vineyard. I believe that is what he's going to say to all servants who are with their might pitching in and helping him with his work. He will say, look at this wonderful harvest. Come rejoice with me. You helped me, and so you're welcome to join me in this rejoicing. For behold, for a long time will I lay up of the fruit of my vineyard unto mine own self, the season which speedily cometh. And for the last time have I nourished my vineyard and pruned it, and dug about it and dunged it. Wherefore I will lay up unto mine own self of the fruit for a long time, according to that which I have spoken. And when the time cometh that evil fruit shall again come into the vineyard, then will I cause the good and the bad to be gathered. And the good will I preserve unto myself, and the bad will I cast away into its own place. And then cometh the season and the end, and my vineyard will I cause to be burned with fire. Now, to me, that sounds like the great and final battle of Gog and Magog. So after the millennium, where there's all this good fruit, then there will become evil again. Satan will be influential again, and the good and evil forces will be gathered fully for that final battle. So I see this allegory of the olive tree as just another incredible picture of what God is doing with us people throughout the entire history of time. I do not think we've gotten anywhere near what's happening in those last few verses, but right now what we need to do is each of us stand up and speak out and try to be bringing forth good fruit in whichever part of the vineyard we are in. All right, I hope you enjoyed learning about this chapter. If there's something you got out of it, especially in how this chapter is warning and drawing you closer to Christ, then put that in the comments below, and I will see you next time.